All right, Craig Hocknell here. I am just gonna have you be like a fly on the wall to a practice session of mine so that you can understand how to just kind of get acclimated to your bay, how to set yourself up for success, how to use some of these technologies really in a very, very simple manner. So stick with me all the way to the end of the video. You'll pick up little tidbits along the way. I know some people like to kind of scrub back and forth. You'll find the tidbits that really work for you. Just be patient with me. We're gonna go through the whole process. So one of the first things that you always wanna do if you have access to a Trackman, hitting bay or at your home, is make sure that you get the Trackman Golf app. That Trackman Golf app has a little white color to it in the App Store. You wanna make sure you do that and you create an account. Not only do you create an account, but you're also gonna log in with that same account information. Basically, it's just your email into the computer so that the information that's gathered from your session gets transferred over to your app so that you can look at it later. Sometimes you might do a practice session 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row. You don't really care to look at it, and then all of a sudden you're wondering, you know what, I was actually hitting the ball really good that day. Let me go back to that practice session and see some of my data. So I'm gonna click on that. It's gonna kind of start opening up the app right here to where it says quick login. On the computer screen over here I have a QR code, so I'm just gonna open it up to the window where it shows the camera. I'm gonna start a little bit further away from the QR code, walk my way in. As I get closer and closer, it'll now tell me that it's connecting. You'll see my name just popped up on the screen over here on the right. So now the computer knows I'm here. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go into a normal practice session. So I'm gonna click on the far left one there, the word practice. And then I'm just gonna do shot analysis. When you do shot analysis, that's when the information gets synced up to your app. So clicking right here, shot analysis, it's checking the target. This is always something that you wanna do, make sure that nobody's accidentally kicked the Trackman. So I'm gonna come back over here to the blue box, set my ball kind of in the middle. We have 2 white dots here. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna hit from the center of those white dots. Anywhere in that blue box is fine, but I'm also gonna go ahead, line up the golf ball by using the mouse on the screen, clicking it straight here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and hit continue. I'm gonna find my name on the screen, and just for kicks, I'm gonna start out with my favorite club to start out with is a 5-iron, and I'll explain that why. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to select my tiles on the bottom. So this is just a normal standard driving range practice, but on the right-hand side, there's a menu option that allows you to select tiles. I'm gonna get rid of all of the default tiles that pop up because I don't need all of this information. I just need a few things. The items that I want are input and outcome related. So an input item would be club head speed. Based on my club head speed, I want to know how far the ball is going. So I'm going to look down here for carry, because I'm not really too concerned about the calculation that Trackman has for total. It's a calculation based on the firmness of the fairway, and those are things that you plug into the computer. I just want to know my carry. So I'm going to click on carry. So club head speed correlates to carry. The next input item that I want to know about is my club path. That's the direction that my swing path of my club is moving, and that affects curve, so I'm going to select curve. I'm also going to select face angle, because that is kind of more like the starting direction. When the face strikes the ball, it's going to shoot it in a certain direction. I want to know what that number is. And I want to know the correlation of both club path and club face. So that is in face to path, right? So that's basically a simple formula, just adding those two together to figure out what the face and path number is. And then based on that, I want to know how far off to the side my ball is going. One of the reasons why curve and side are important when you're working in a simulator is because this screen, this simulated driving range, is difficult, I think. It's like an illusion. You're hitting out there and you're trying to figure out, well, how far did my ball go offline? Well, when you're in a simulator, these are some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today, is what's kind of real, what's simulated, and how do we kind of mesh those two together to make sure that what we're working on is extremely productive. So the curvature of the ball, you're going to see it fly through the air, but how much is it actually curving? When you look out, especially when you're working on a driver, and they call it a ribbon, when that ribbon of ball flight goes all the way out into the virtual driving range, sometimes it appears that you're only, a millimeter offline, but then you find out that your side total or your side carry distance is 10 yards offline. But on the screen, it did not look very far. So these are some things we want to talk about. We always want to be able to come back to this spot and add more things in. We have the ability, to add more things in when we're searching for more answers. This is just how we start out our session with these basic pieces of information, because if you have too much information, you're just going to get distracted. Okay, so I've got my phone set up. Okay, and I've got all those tiles, they're called, on the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is just set up my range real quick. So I'm going to take my saber putting ruler, set it up right here in front. I like this because it gives me an aiming point in my location where I'm hitting. Okay, I'm going to move this slightly to the left because it wasn't dead straight. Probably right there. And then I always take out my saber and start loosening up with it. One of the first things you always want to do, doesn't matter if you're out at the course, the driving range, you're getting ready to tee off, you're in here training on your simulator, you always want to make sure you stretch out. Right now I'm kind of dealing with a little bit of bicep tendonitis right here, so my left arm isn't working that good, but I'm going to go through just kind of how I get myself set up and how I begin my session so that you have a template to follow that's going to best serve you. Okay, so a few stretches I do, over the head type stretches like this, some side bend stretches like this. I always take my saber, put it behind my neck here, start doing some rotations. You can probably hear that ball clicking in the saber. That's a timing ball that you can watch a whole bunch of my saber videos on if you want to figure out what that does for you. But I'm using it just basically to stretch with right now. Then I have a heavy end and a light end, so I'm going to take the heavy end and just make some loosening up swings. This is where I can feel right now, shoulders a little tight, but that's fine. Back and forth. Okay, when you're going into a simulated space, you're also maybe coming in dressed, coming in dressed for how the weather is for the day. When you come in here, it's all climate controlled. I'm able to practice. I could be practicing in shorts and t-shirt if I want to. It's really a fitness environment, so you can wear fitness type clothing. You can wear your running shoes. I would recommend that if you are really practicing for real, that you wear your actual golf shoes that you're going to play in. Obviously, this is a really clean environment, so make sure that your clubs are really clean, no dirt on the clubs, and also make sure that your shoes are really clean also, because it's embarrassing when you look around your space only to see pieces of dirt that have come off of you that you brought in with you. Okay, so I just continue to go right-handed, then I'll flip it over, still on the heavy end, do some left-handed ones. It's important to make sure that your body feels stretched kind of similarly in both directions. Okay, then what I'll do with the saber, flip it over to the light end, create a little bit more speed back and forth, get my hands moving, get my wrists feeling like they're working on the square shaft of the saber correctly. I'll set, pause, relax my arm, get a couple of clicks just to feel that. Okay, now I'm feeling okay. I'm running through this very quickly. Normally for me, this would probably take 30 minutes just of the stretching and using the saber just to kind of get my body ready. Before I go, I'm not going to put it in my bag. I'm going to take my saber out has ball position indicators right here on it, and I use it as an alignment for my feet. So I'm going to set this down here on the ground, kind of in this location, come back, make sure that that's parallel to my target line. Then, of course, I need to grab my glove. We have a tee and some balls. Maybe grab my rangefinder, shoot the range. Not necessary. It's kind of a funny joke. Grab my 5-iron that I chose, and I'll explain why. The reason is because in this phase, in this portion of using this space, I'm just in warm-up mode. I don't even care where this ball goes. I don't care if I top it, shank it over there, or hit a great golf shot. It's not really important right now. What's important is I basically take my body and move it exactly how I was doing with the saber, just to get myself loose. I'll make some practice swings, of course. All right, trying to stretch the body out, get that arm that's feeling a little tight worked out, and then hit a couple shots. Okay, so these ones again, I couldn't care less. I might as well turn the projector off and hit into a blank screen, because I don't even care where they go, because these, in a normal practice session for me, the next 20 shots don't care about, because all I'm trying to do is get my mind wrapped around swinging. Okay. Now, I will tell you that in this process of swinging, just simply swinging, making contact with the ball, the reason why I choose a 5-iron is because off of a mat especially, it allows me just to swing. It allows me to effectively kind of pick that ball clean. I don't need to worry about my angle of attack. I don't need to worry about the depth or location of my low point, which is a divot. One word of caution: when you are practicing on a mat, you get in here and you start thumping that mat super hard. It is what it is. You're probably going to cause some stresses and strains in your wrists, elbow, shoulders, some of those joints, because the turf, this mat, interacts differently than the grass outside. So just be cautious, be careful with that. That's another reason why I'm picking the 5-iron, because I just made some full swings with the saber. I didn't hit the ground at all with a saber, so I'm swinging this 5-iron as if I'm not going to hit the ground either, basically just picking it clean. The 5-iron that I have too is this new Apex Pro that just came out this year, and it's super forgiving, so I don't really need to hit down and take a big divot anyway. I can pick this clean. In fact, look at that shot. I mean, that's not ideal for me yet, but it's a really, really good shot. I'm sure you can see that I swung it at 89.5 miles an hour. I carried it 192 yards. The path was negative 1.2. The curvature was 7 feet. That says feet down there. 7 feet to the right. Club face was only 0.6, negative 0.6. Club path, sorry, the face to path number was a positive 0.6, and the location that it ended up was actually only 1 inch. 1 inch to the left, so that's pretty darn good, okay? But again, I'm not going to boost myself up and gain a ton of confidence from that, because that was the second swing of the day, and like I said, the first 20 swings really don't matter. I just got lucky, essentially. So see that? I'm hoping if I set up and just get lucky again, see what we get. Okay, so now that one there is 35 feet to the right. So I went from 1 inch to the right, or 1 inch to the left, to 35 feet to the right, and those swings effectively felt the same to me. So one of the big takeaways from this is that when you're using this space and warming up, you have so much data at your fingertips. The problem with that is you can start analyzing way too fast. Again, I've only hit 3 shots. I've still got 17 more shots before I even start caring about what's going on. If you start analyzing before you're actually warmed up, you're doing yourself a disservice in either direction, analyzing for the 1-inch or the 35-footer. Okay, so again, just trying to get myself loosened up, acclimated to the environment. One of the cool things that we have in this space also, up on that screen, I have all of my club data. I can look at my spin axis, I can look at my dynamic loft, spin rate, all of that information is up on the screen there in front of me. And then right down here on the floor, we have Sportsbox AI, which is capturing all of the video, which is super cool. We have one camera in front, one camera behind, and one camera back here. And effectively, what that will do is transfer all of my data points on my body, head, shoulders, knees and toes, right? It'll capture all of that and convert my space into an avatar, of which it can then project from above, and actually it can also project an avatar from below, which is super cool when you're trying to look at different numbers and figure out what it is that you're trying to work on. For example, down here on the screen, it says I had an X factor stretch of 2.6 degrees. I have a chest sway of 1 inch. I have a pelvis sway of 4.7 inches. I have a pelvis lift of 0.4 inches. And I have a pelvis sway at negative 1.5 inches. At the fullness of my turn, I have a pelvis turn of 42.6 degrees. Again, we're like 4 shots in. I'm just pointing this stuff out because it's at your fingertips, but one of the takeaways is you're not ready for using any of that yet. I'm going to do more videos on how to actually figure out how to use all of this stuff. So, take another swing. All right, maybe swing number 5 at this point. If you want to keep track of that information, which I tend to do because like I said, I want about 20 swings where I don't care. I'm going to go to the top right of the screen. There's an, just like on your computer, there's like a minimize, maximize button, but then just to the left of that is like a 4-tile button. And what that allows me to do is kind of split my screen. So what I'm going to do is click on that. Actually, I'm going to minimize to 2 screens, and then that's the one I was looking for on the left. So the shot analysis in a table is now on the left, so I can verify, yes, even though I've been talking to you the whole time, that was in fact my 5th shot. So go ahead, get another one. Okay, none of the information that pops up on the screen is affecting what happens. You don't need to all of a sudden aim into that window on the right. However, I will show you in another video how you can set the screen in this manner to try to work on, again, transferring something that's virtual into something that's more realistic. So hang tight for that video. That's a good one. Okay, so it's another swing, smooth. That one felt a little better. Body's starting to feel a little bit looser. 7 swings in. Was that one any faster? Yeah, that was actually barely my fastest, 91.6. Make another swing. That one felt a little looser, kind of in the legs and the hips. Body was able to go a little bit further. Shoulder still is a little sore, but doesn't feel too bad. Yeah, there you go, 95. Okay, I'm not trying to hit these harder, I'm just swinging. It's just getting looser and looser. Again, don't really care where it's going or how far it's going. Still got the 5-iron. Just setting up as neutral as I can, looking at the markings on the saber, trying to make sure that I'm setting up correctly, same way, and then just swinging, trusting it. Okay. All right, so for the sake of the video, I'm going to stop at 10 swings instead of going through all 20, but this is one of the points I wanted to point out to you. So now that we have the table up there, I can show you 2 locations on the Trackman where it's giving you kind of some averages for you to look at. If you don't want to put the table up, you can actually look down at the bottom of the screen. So right down here, so we have an average on the left. So let's look at carry yardage. That's a simple one to figure out. That one shot there was 203 yards, 203.3. And my average in the bottom left of this tile is 192.2. Okay, so bottom left is your average. Then, excuse me, bottom right is the variance. So this is plus or minus from top to bottom. So I have an 8.6 yard, because this is in yards, I have an 8.6 yard variance from top to bottom, which if we looked up here on the screen, we would see that, let's see, 89.3 was my first swing. So went 89, 89, 90, 91, 92, 91, 90, basically 92, 95, 95, 95, so it started to increase. And then as you look at all the rest of these curvature-wise, for example, my average curve is 13 feet, so you always got to look at that indicator in the middle, 13 feet to the right, and then the variance was plus or minus 14 feet, okay? So if I really wanted